And welcome back to British Championships 2019. This is day 2, game 12. I'm Dork Mistress.
And I'm Stormageddon.
So up next we have part of the Tier 1 WFTDA side round robin. It is Manchester Roller Derby CheckerBroads up against London Roller Derby's Battersea Power. So on the teams for the CheckerBroads, who do we have, Stormageddon?
So for the CheckerBroads, who will be skating in white for this game, we have 03 Mayday, 118 Fatality, 17 is Frank Intense, 1977 is Rebel Scum, 3 is Price, 48 is Smack Bamba, 481 is Roxy Toxin, who is also their captain for today, 619 is Holly, 704 is Hazard, and 75 is Cara Chase.
And for Battersea Power today, we have 088 Amazing Disgrace, 10 Toxic Frosting, 21 Basher Fierce, 212 Beastie Noise, 27 Alley Cat, 404 Wheel Deal, 53 Dr. G Knockout, the captain for today, 62 Beta Parker, 747 Claire Force 1, 90 She Ruthless, 9041 Savage, 934 Serious Whack, 94 Tropic Attack, and 982 Daredevil. So as you can see, London Roller Derby today have a larger roster than Manchester.
By a fair bit. I think Manchester today are skating with 9 skaters, and I believe London have got 13, so this might see them have a bit of an advantage, definitely with stamina levels.
Yes, but Battersea Power are coming into this as the highest seed in the tournament. So Battersea Power currently top of Tier 1 South, whereas the CheckerBroads are second in Tier 1 North. Battersea winning 4 games on their way to playoffs this weekend. The CheckerBroads won 3 but lost 1. So it's going to be a really fair matchup.
Well, we've been seeing that throughout this weekend. I mean, when you're going into playoffs, you're looking at the best of the best, really, and it's always going to be kind of high-intensity, high-level gameplay throughout, so I'm very excited for this game.
I'm absolutely really keen to see these two line up, and they are lining up on the pivot line, so interesting sort of psychological play, really, going up for the pivot line start.
Yeah. This is why it leaves you with not sure what to do. You don't know if they're going to do the rollback like they're doing a little bit, or you don't know if you're going to have a run up.
So we're underway, and it is Battersea Power playing in the black, who have got lead jammer.
And that is Savage, who has taken lead on their first jam. Jamming up against her is Smack Mamba, who has just completed her initial pass.
As you can see, the overlay's now there, so you can see what we're seeing. But it's London Roller Derby who pick up the first points in this game. 4 points for them, but Manchester managing to sneak 3 just at the end there.
I can see this being quite a defensive game, a lot of kind of hit it and quit it style jams. Everyone's going to not want to take too many risks, especially at this stage of the competition.
And it's worth noting that points are going to be really important in this game, as Beat Hipparka on the jam line for London, Hazard for Manchester. But it's London out again with lead, but Manchester, Hazard's very close behind, same as we saw in the first jam. And it's London trying to get some points. The offense is going in. Beat Hipparka not able to pick up any points at the end of that jam.
I thought I saw a whiz in on the inside line, but not quite in time.
So the scores remain 4-3. So on the jam line we have Alley Cat for Battersea Power up against Roxy Toxin for the CheckerBroads. I think, as you say, very tentative in these first few jams, trying to test each other out.
Absolutely. You've kind of got to figure out each other's styles in these first few jams as well, and figure out how the other team plays.
But it's Alley Cat who has just one CheckerBroad in front, but is hit out and recycled back on track very quickly. Roxy Toxin finds a gap on the outside and completes her initial pass. Lead jammer to Manchester, first time this game. So
Ali Cat up in front just completed that initial pass as Roxy Toxin is coming in to score some points round the outside line, narrowly avoiding a hit from Wheel Deal and calling off the jam.
LRD, they're going for that zonal blocking up front, but actually needed both blockers in place to hold back Roxy Toxin. There was just too much of a gap on the outside, which let her through for that second pass. First scoring pass. So that was 4 points for Manchester, 3 for London. So swaps. So we're at 7-7 after 3 jams. And we have a quick official timeout. So we said points are important in this game. So the Tier 1 WFTDA side of British Championships has been settled by a round robin between Liverpool, London and Manchester. So what happened yesterday?
So basically we've got a situation where every team's got at least 1 win. The only team so far that haven't is Manchester, I believe.
So it was Liverpool-London yesterday and Liverpool-Manchester. It was Liverpool-Manchester yesterday.
Yes.
And Liverpool won.
Yes.
So actually, whoever wins this has an impact on what happens later today. So if London win, that leaves Manchester without the ability to win a game.
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
So London still have 1 game to play, whereas for Manchester this is their last game.
Yeah.
So Manchester are really looking to prove themselves in this game to get that win so that they don't finish the tournament completely defeated. Whereas London, if they get the win going into their game later on today, which will see them against Liverpool, then that puts them in a position where that will be a game for first and second place.
Yes. So, and if Manchester win, it's going to come down to points differential. So this is why every single point in this game matters. And Smack Mamba knows that. Manchester having lead jam.
It is. That's Mac Mambo's up ahead. You can see Savage for London up in front there with those 3 Manchester CheckerBroads.
But Smack Mamba has made it through for a scoring pass, so that's 4 points for Manchester. It's like they heard us talking and they know points are important. Savage now out of the pack, completing their initial pass. But Smack Mamba sees that danger, calls the jam. 4 points for Manchester, nothing for London. So Manchester now in the lead, 14-7, 2 scoring passes. So that's a 7-point differential. Even I can do that maths.
I don't know, it's about at my limit, but I'm about there with you.
So we've had the first 4 minutes in this game, and I think very tentative. Sort of testing each other out. It's been a bit of tit for tat. Manchester probably had the slightly best in that last jam.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how Beta Parker, jamming for London, comes back against that Hazard for Manchester.
So we've got Hazard up in front, basically trying to weave her way around. It proves successful as she takes lead, whereas Beta Parker is just kind of trying to trudge their way through. But a bit of offence from the London teammates, breaking apart the CheckerBroads.
And that's excellent work from Manchester up front, covering the whole of the track. But Beta Parker is released that out of play. So that's initial pass for London complete.
Ooh, a big hit down from, I believe that's Fatality, right at the end of that jam onto the London jammer.
But both teams picking up points. Manchester picking up 3, London 2, so that takes it to 17-9. And what we have seen in most of the jams so far this game is both teams picking up points.
Yes.
We're not seeing hitting it and quitting it. So it's interesting to see how those tactics will play out.
Another pivot line start, bit of an opportunity for a run-up for the jammers.
So it's Roxy Toxin for Manchester up against Ali Cat for London, and it's Ali Cat who is left the inside line clear by the CheckerBroads and takes advantage, but Roxy Toxin is also out completing her initial.
CheckerBroads really been separated here from the London defence, so that allowed London to pick up the points, call it off, deny any points picked up by Manchester.
See, they heard me say that there wasn't any hitting it and just getting the 4 points, and
absolutely, announcer's curse strikes again.
Again, we're going with the pivot line start, so bit of psychological tussling for that line.
So it's Savage for London, Smack Mamba for Manchester. Smack Mamba up in front takes the inside line.
London trying to split up that Manchester wall, but they have been able to reform in front of Savage, but Savage is now out.
Beautiful shirt whip there to get out.
This autumn, it's all been about the shirt whip.
It has, but it has meant we've seen quite a lot of multiplayer penalties on jammers because they just don't let go at the right point.
So that was 4 points for Manchester in that jam. London picking up 3, so it's 21 for Manchester, now playing 16 for Battersea. Again, both teams picking up points. It's just interesting. It's not something we see very often because it tends to either be multiple scoring passes with a couple of points or, 4-0.
Yeah, 4-0 I think is what I see most of the time.
But we have Beta Parker on the line up against Hazard.
Manchester in a bit of penalty trouble, just 2 blockers there trying to hold back Beta Parker. Bit of offence on the inside line, but that clears the way for Hazard to follow them through.
So that's Hazard and Manchester with lead jammer.
Hop round the inside line, sees Peter Parker pick up the points. Hazard not far behind them.
That was a beautiful piece of offence by Cara Chase. The timing on that, leaving the outside line, was absolutely perfect. So we're just looking at the points in that jam, and it was Manchester who had lead, who pick up 7, but London were able to sneak 8 points. So that has now narrowed the gap. It's 28 to the CheckerBroads, 24 to Battersea.
And I think that shows the impact of good offence work there. Just completely cleared that line, and even though London were running behind, they just made their scoring pass last about a second.
Yeah. So we have Ali Cat for Battersea up against Roxy Toxin for the CheckerBroads. It's Roxy Toxin with some great sweeping of that inside line by the CheckerBroads lead jammer.
London really breaking the CheckerBroads apart there, clearing the way right through the middle for Ali Cat to get through.
But it was number 17, Frank Intense, who left that outside line for Roxy Toxin to get through. And we have... just checking the points.
Yeah.
So it's nothing for Battersea Power, and it's 4 for Manchester in that jam. So yeah, the timing on that was really good. And I just loved watching the offense for Manchester clearing for Roxy Toxin. Really was textbook. The blockers earn the points, the jammers pick them up.
Absolutely, and the awareness from the blockers on both teams as well to know when to do offense, when there's a jammer coming and you need to hold back.
So we have Daredevil for Battersea, Smack Mamba for the CheckerBroads, but it is Daredevil who is out first.
Smack Mamba's got a clear inside line and she takes it.
Just that previous shot on the corner, you could just see the Manchester offence go in. It was a thing of beauty. I wanted a gif of that. So it's London picking up 2 points in that jam, taking them to 26. It is a 6-point game, and we're 10 minutes in.
Wow.
We said this would be tasty.
We did. We predicted it would be close. I predicted everyone would play defensively, but I didn't expect it to be quite as close as it is, but I'm very glad.
So we have Savage for Battersea, Hazard for the CheckerBroads, and it's Hazard who pushes out front for lead.
Oh, and we have our first power jam of the game.
And Manchester trying to make the most of that. Hazard taken to the outside and recycled to turn 1, but London picking up penalty, so only one London blocker on track, making it easy work for Hazard to pick up the scoring pass. However, London now have 3 blockers on track. Savage, hops over them. Sorry, Hazard hops over them to pick up the 4 points. So that second scoring pass completed for the CheckerBroads. But Savage is out of the box, back on track, and gets through the pack before I think they noticed.
Yeah, did it a bit sneakily there.
Yep. But Hazard making that third scoring pass before the whistle. 12 points for Manchester, extending their lead out now, 44-26. And that's probably the highest scoring jam we've seen so far this game.
It absolutely is.
And demonstrates the power of a power jam if you can capitalise on it. What we've seen that sometimes over this weekend, the teams are so close and the defence is so strong. We've seen penalty kills all over the place, but not here. That was a 3 scoring pass.
So that is Roxy Toxin is taking lead for Manchester. Beta Parker is jamming up at the back for London, just trying to get through the CheckerBroads, as we can see, having a bit of trouble getting around that free wall. Roxy Toxin really making some headway up in front, pushing those last couple of blockers out of play and getting the scoring pass.
But London again with blocker trouble. We have 2 blockers on track because the penalty box is full.
Roxy Toxin hit out on the outside line, being recycled all the way back.
That's great work from London's, I think that was Savage, who's just showing how just one blocker on track can be enough. Able to hold back Roxy Toxin.
Absolutely. I feel like it's almost like a mind game, really, where you can feel like if you're the last blocker on track, it's almost hopeless. Whereas if you get in the right mindset of confidence, no, okay, I've got this. Like, I've seen some, especially this weekend, some individual blocking just when there's one blocker left on track and they go, you know what, I don't need a whole wall, I've got this.
No, and we're in a team timeout which has been called by LRD. So they're obviously having a bit of a chat about everything. But we've seen a really interesting first 13 minutes. I think it was a bit tentative, but I think we're starting to see Manchester have a bit more of the confidence and able to hold back the London Jammers a bit, just a bit more than LRD are able to do on Manchester. And I think at the moment that's the real challenge.
I think the main issue that London are having at this point, we're just going into an official timeout, but I think the main issue we're seeing for London at the moment is it's such a huge difference in penalties, like especially in like the last 5 minutes worth of gameplay. Like London's got basically double the amount of penalties that Manchester have picked up at this stage of the game. And that makes a huge difference when you've only got 2-1 blockers to hold back a jammer who's at full speed. You can't be as effective as a full track.
No, so I think London will hopefully be using this timeout to really sort of just take that breath and calm down, because there's been a number of times where there's only been 1 or 2 blockers for either side on track, and you're just giving points away at that point, and that's where we've been seeing these big multiple scoring passes. So we're still in the timeout. I think just making sure everything is okay. So as we said, it's a round robin. So first game was yesterday. This is game 2, and game 3 is this afternoon. And that's going to be at, I think, 4:30.
That's
on
correct.
This track, and it's going to be London versus Liverpool.
Yes.
And that will decide the order for Tier 1 WFTDA side of British Championships.
So as we explained earlier, if London get the win in this game, then basically it will be London v Liverpool fighting it out for first and second place in the tier, whereas if Manchester get the win, that means every single team has had 1 win.
Or the potential for 1 win.
Well, potential for 1 win going into the final game. So then we're basically working on points differential for who comes top of the tier.
Yep. And either way, it's going to be an exciting game.
Oh, absolutely.
Because as we've seen, Manchester have come out strong this morning. Liverpool did a great job yesterday.
Yes.
In winning that game. So it's going to be, this has just been a fantastic weekend of close games. Just really, it's been just a story of defense. I've seen most of the time just such strong defense, and we're starting to see how both these teams are sort of checking each other out and working out how to change up their tactics, because they play in different divisions of Tier 1, so they don't play each other during the year.
No. Well, this is it. They won't have seen each other play a great deal, and I feel like once you have had time to figure out jammer styles, then that can change up a defence completely.
Yeah. So we're still in the official timeout. 17 and a half minutes left in this half. And it's 26 points to London Roller Derby's Battersea Power, 51 points to Manchester's CheckerBroads. And we've got a whole afternoon of roller derby for you. So there's another 3 games after this game on this track.
We're spoiling you.
And we're getting underway. So everything's in order and we're ready to go. So it's Alley Cat up against Smack Mamba on the jam line.
Smack Mamba is up in front, but takes a big hit out from London, allowing Alley Cat to make progress up at the front. Bit of a spin round, but hasn't got lead.
And so the jam is called to avoid points being scored. It's always natural to think that whoever comes out of the pack first has lead.
No. Not always, but I did miss lead getting given in that one. I'm going to admit that. Bit of a sneaky one.
Sometimes it's so frustrating as a jammer that you get your hips out in front, but then you get absorbed back into the pack.
Oh yeah, it's so close but so far situation.
So we're in a quick official timeout. Just letting the officials talk to each other. And if you're interested and you can't watch 2 screens at once, the other track has got, it's, I believe,
it's Mild Discomfort and Glasgow. And currently they're at Mild Discomfort is on 102 and Glasgow is on 114. And they're in the second half of their game.
Yeah. So we're underway. It's Savage versus Hazard.
So Hazard is already out with lead, so now coming round for a scoring pass, as you can see. So Savage is being taken back, has taken the start off. But that was amazing Disgrace who went in for that last minute hit, but couldn't hold back Hazard. Oh, and a lovely little apex hop. Didn't need to be fancy, just very workmanlike to get through the pack. Yeah. You don't need to overdo it, just enough to get the job done. So that's Savage out of the pack. Oh, big hit there. That was She Ruthless from London with a huge hit on Hazard. I think the ground shook on that one. It was a little bit. I love a hit where the entire crowd just goes, ooh. And we can hear that up from the balcony in the Fenton Manor Sports Complex. It's a manor, don't you know? So 15 and a half minutes left in this game. It is Roxy Toxin versus Beat Here Parker. And it's Roxy Toxin who makes it out for lead. Beta Parker. Is that Beta Parker out? Yes. Yes. So Beta Parker approaches the pack to score points. Roxy Toxin sees the danger, calls the jam. But that was 1 point for Manchester. So that's extending their lead out now to 62 points. London Roller Derby's Battersea Power on 26. I think Manchester are just aiming to kind of slowly edge it forward. They don't need to do crazy point jams. I think they just want to deny London from picking up any more and just let the points very slowly and very steadily rack up. So we have Smack Mamba on the jam line against Alley Cat for Battersea, and strong defence from both teams. That is Smack Mamba taking the lead for the CheckerBroads. Ali Cat up in front, little bit of a hop round the checkerboard pivot. Who is Price?
So Ali Cat was approaching the pack, so Smack Mamba had no choice but to call that jam. But again, another point for Manchester. I think Manchester are just keen to sort of extend that lead out to really send a message to Battersea. This is our game.
Yeah, absolutely. As I always say, it's more of a mental game in roller derby as much as a physical game. If you can get in the other team's head, I feel like you've already won. And that's an official review.
That is an official review being called by Manchester. So while we're finding out what's happening about the official review, I mean, you know, we've talked about it, it's felt like they're sort of testing each other. It still feels a little bit like they're testing each other out on track. There doesn't seem to anybody that's clearly worked out how to lock the other team down fully.
No, that's true.
I mean, Manchester have the lead, have built that lead up over the last, you know, sort of 10 minutes of gameplay.
Yes.
But they're not definitely in charge yet.
No, but there's still time for London to catch them, and Manchester are ahead, but not quite enough that they can sit down and relax just yet.
Yeah. And I think, this is we've had a number of stoppages in this game, and I think that's stopping any one team from building up momentum. So a good use of timeouts and official reviews. I just sometimes really wish we could be down there in the middle and hear what they're saying. And the officials that we have today, in the stripes we have Sarcasm, Razor, Julius Caesar, Booker DeWitt, Matt Newton, Errington, Anton Deck and Little Nipper. And for the NSOs?
Okay, so for the NSOs for this game, we've got Nuts, Ginger Snaps, Mofo Princess, Mischief, Alpha Wolf, Stellar Revolution, Judge Tread, Hissing Hellcat, Critical Mash, Louise and Petty.
And we've had amazing officiating this weekend. I mean, whenever you say to your friends, what are you doing? I'm going to spend, a beautiful sunny, although not so this morning, weekend in the leisure centre. To do it, as a volunteer to officiate, you have to wonder why people want to do it.
Oh, I think we might want the ref mic in a second. I can see someone.
They're still telling the captains. They're not going to tell us until they've told the team captains.
Oh, okay. I'm a bit keen. Just far too nosy for my own good.
And here we're going to hear from the head referee.
So white team were calling an official review, looking for a low block penalty caused by the opposition jammer. The initiation was not seen, therefore the no call stands and the official review was not retained.
So there we have it. We go back to the way it was.
Beautiful description there from Sarcasm, our head ref for this game.
It was a great description.
Yeah. I feel like I've been educated on the whole situation. We can carry on.
So we're ready to go again. You can see the teams crowded on the jam line.
No more pivot line starts. Let's get close and personal.
It's Daredevil versus Hazard, and Hazard makes it through for lead.
Daredevil with a takedown now and trying to pick up a bit of momentum. Some offence from the London blockers as Hazard approaches for a scoring pass. Daredevil has made it out the initial. Hazard gets the points and calls it off.
I think I can see what London are trying to do in that situation. You could see they were trying to do zone blocking, but at the moment that they're letting the jammers through because they're not able to cover enough of the track in the way that they're doing that. And I think that that's a tactic we see at the very highest level teams, but we need. I want to see a wall. I know it's really old school.
I was about to say it's very old school, retro, crazy idea you've got there, Doc, to get a wall, but I think you may be right.
So Basher Fierce on the jam line for London, Roxy Toxin for Manchester, who is out as lead.
Basha Fierce really battling at the front there, taking hit after hit from Fatality, and that's a big hit, taking them all the way back.
That was blocking with every inch of your body from Fatality. That was fantastic work, and has paid off, because that's eaten up, a good 9-10 seconds of time, and that's what it's about in these games. Roxy Thompson pushing out up front, picking up that scoring pass, but
and that's a star pass in London over to 088, who is Amazing Disgrace. Oh no, it was an incomplete star pass, so Amazing Disgrace has thrown the star to the side, and so London Jammer is in the box, so it must have been for a star pass violation.
Yeah. Because if it's an incomplete star pass and it's not reversed, then it will be a star pass violation.
Yes.
Or it's just a star pass violation. Yeah. So that was 8 points for Manchester in that last jam, taking them to 75 points. So they are now 49 points ahead of Battersea Power on 26.
No, this is not a position that London want to be in. They want to be clawing back their points and starting with the power jam for Manchester. I mean, great for Manchester, but...
Oh, and Manchester making a bit of an error there. So what happened was the pivot was talking to the jammer and didn't realise the whistle was going to go, and so was out of position and has been sent to an illegal positioning penalty. And it's Smack Mamba pushing up front. We've got Basha Fierce finding a gap on the outside, but that wall from Manchester reforming ahead, but pushed out, and that's Basha Fierce out. Not lead.
Smack Mamba really struggling now behind that free wall at the back, getting a bit of offence there from number 3 Price. But again, London stays strong, staying together.
But Smack Mamba has made it through. 4 points for Manchester. Scoring pass is lead. Looking at the jam ref's pointing finger. Oh, and that's a gap that London left on the inside again. I think just not able to cover both edges of the lines to hold back these Manchester jammers.
So Basha Fierce has now taken the star off, so that means even though London are on a scoring pass, there's not going to be any points scored while there's not a star on the head. The star has now been passed to Sirius Whack.
But I think London are just trying to stop the damage and force the jam to be called, which is what happened. So that was 4 points for London.
So they must have picked up the points and then kept getting recycled back.
Yes.
And if you're aware enough to know, well, at some point I've passed all these blockers at least once.
Yes.
Then absolutely.
So that was great strategy from Battersea, but Manchester picking up 12 points, taking them to 91, extending that lead out. So it's Savage for Battersea, Hazard for the CheckerBroads. And so that was called for injury, but I think there was also a forearms penalty right at the end of that for, I believe, the London Roller Derby Jammer. Again, going by hand signals from the officials, but we're in an official timeout while we make sure that everybody is safe and well.
I mean, while we have a bit of a kind of timeout to check on the skaters, we've been talking a lot about London doing the zonal blocking sort of style. Do you feel like you could elaborate a bit on that, Dork, because if anyone's listening and going, what on earth is zonal blocking?
I actually really struggle with describing how it works. I tend to know it when I see it, but we've traditionally seen very static 4 walls, or 3 walls. We, started off being a line across the track, then we went into tripods.
Yes.
That was the thing, because you could move from side to side easily and cover the track. So what we see with zonal blocking is that you will see people in lanes.
Yes.
But but at different points in the pack so that they can come up together
Yes.
as they need.
Yes.
Or, and just basically means you're much more agile. You can reform a wall very quickly. So what we're seeing is London are in those positions, but they're not forming the wall quick enough when somebody's coming up to where their zone.
Yes. So it's almost like a more fluid version of having a wall where you're not rigidly trapped with your other blockers.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it gives the jammer more leeway to kind of weave their way around if they're quick enough.
And I think that's what we're seeing with Manchester. So the jammers are actually being able to get through the pack quick enough that the London blockers aren't able to react quick enough to form the wall in front of them. That's probably a not very elegant explanation, but that's sort of the way. Like I said, when I see it, when you see it on track, it makes sense as opposed to my description.
Well, that I feel like we've got enough to go on that hopefully when you see it, you'll go, oh, that's what they were trying to tell me about.
But thankfully, everybody is safe and well, so we're hopefully about to get underway. The teams are lined up.
London are starting with the jammer in a box, so you were saying that we believe we saw a forearms penalty potentially.
Yep.
So we're starting with Manchester with the power jam advantage.
Yes, and I think that would have been Savage who has picked up their second penalty. So London, we talked about it a bit earlier, we now have an official review that has been called by London Roller Derby. So we can talk a bit about penalties.
Yes.
So we are, 8 minutes left in this first half. There's nobody here in danger.
No.
It's still quite a low penalty game, but Manchester have only picked up 6 penalties at all, total. And London Roller Derby on quite a lot more. I can't add up that quickly in my head.
Give me a minute. I think they're on 12.
So we have 4 London Roller Derby blockers or players on 2 penalties, and we have Sirius Whack on 3. Manchester have a couple on 2 and a couple on 1. So at the moment, nothing to be concerned about. If I was a bench manager, if you think about we're nearly halfway through the game. Actually, if you did that again, no one would foul out at this point. Yeah.
Assuming that you don't be any more naughty in the second half, then you're in safe territory. But as we were saying earlier, it's not like you feel like penalties are okay, because you're definitely giving your team a disadvantage while you're sat down.
And I think the key thing is London Roller Derby a couple of times have had 2 blockers in the box.
Yes.
And that's made the difference on the multiple scoring passes. So that's the story that these penalties are saying, is that it's been quite often 1, 2, sometimes 3 blockers in the box or queuing for the box. And that just gives the other team the opportunity. That's where Manchester have been able to really put on multiple scoring passes and go, I'm going to take the lead. But this has been an incredibly tactical game so far.
Oh, absolutely.
Very much seeing sort of, strategy, from both teams that is... and tactics that are just really what you would be seeing in post-season play.
See, this is it. I mean, both teams, regardless, we've seen some beautiful offence.
And the offence has been absolute. Manchester's offence. I mean, there was literally that one corner where the perfect timing, they'd each picked a blocker to take out, and they went in synchronisation, and it was beautiful.
Yes. And that's it. When the offence works, then all the jammer has to do is just don't stop skating.
Yeah.
Makes their job easy.
Yeah, and you combine that with having larger number of blockers in the box, and you can see why the points differential is the way it is.
Well, it looks like we're going to carry on where we left off.
Yep.
I think we have some microphone trouble, so I'm not sure what the review was regarding, but I do know that the review was lost, so we'll just carry on as if nothing happened.
Yep. And it's Roxy Toxin who makes it out, lead jammer for the CheckerBroads. But that's a back block penalty for She Ruthless from Battersea, and that's helped Roxy Toxin get through to pick up 4 more points.
Savage has come out the penalty box now with a hit out on the inside.
But Wheel Deal from London putting the second blocker in the penalty box for a clockwise block. And so Roxy Toxin gets the extra scoring pass for 8 points in that jam and calls the jam because they're going to start with London with 2 blockers in the box, and that is going to give them a real opportunity to pick up lead.
Yeah, I was just about to say, even though London hadn't got their initial pass, you go, do I want to keep scoring points or do I want to give my teammate an easier opportunity to get lead?
Yeah. 99 points to the CheckerBroads, 32 London. Beat Parker and Smack Mamba getting lead, just as we predicted.
So Beta Parker kind of being left to it on their own. There are not really enough blockers to do offense while the other jammer is active. So Beta Parker just having to fight it out. Smack Mamba now coming around for a scoring pass. London have really been separated from trying to get Beta Parker out the pack, but Beta Parker with a star stash runs out the pack.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. Manchester were just not letting London stick to each other.
No.
And actually, we've seen it the other way round a lot of the time. That London have been very effective at breaking up Manchester walls.
Yes.
So, you know, it's good to see that Manchester is starting to go, actually, no, we need to do that too. But 8 points for Manchester in that jam, taking them to 107. So it's Ali Cat up against Hazard on the jam line. We've got 6 minutes left in this half.
Ali Cat trying to weave their way around at the back. Hazard kind of more just getting stuck in and trying to hit their way through. Hazard finding a gap on the outside line, now making some headway, pushing on it forward, but that's a big hit down. That's from Tropic Attack.
Ali Cat having to use their blockers to get through, and it was a great team between that blocker providing the offense and Ali Cat to get lead. But I think that's the first time in some time we've seen London with a lead jammer and then making the most of that. That's Ali Cat now on second scoring pass.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a little while since they've managed to get some points on the board, so they're going to want to change that trend.
Yep. But LRD saw the danger, called the jam, but that was 8 points for London, 38, taking them Manchester 107. And you could see just at the end of that jam, that was a good example of zonal blocking by Manchester.
Yes.
So they were in their lanes and they were reforming in front of the jammer as necessary on that corner. That was what I was trying to talk about.
So that's Roxy Toxin on the inside line.
Roxy picking up lead jammer.
Daredevil is fighting up in front, neck and neck with their pivots. But both jammers out the pack now. Roxy Toxin looking ready to call it off, and does so.
Yeah, I think that was definitely a case where it was, you know, there wasn't enough space between the jammers, so let's just get the 4, call the jam.
As we said earlier, nothing fancy, let's just do what needs to be done.
Yep. So Smack Mamba on the jam line, up against Savage for LRD.
And that Savage up in front takes lead for London.
But Smack Mamba is very close behind, so it's going to be interesting to see how LRD take this jam.
So you can see them working clearly to just go, we just need to get points quickly. So that's why they were separating Manchester, but not before Manchester picked up 3 points of their own.
Yep, so Manchester winning that jam 3-2. So, and again, it was because Manchester were at the front of the pack, so they were able to save more of their points from the London Jammer. So 114, now playing 40, and we've got 2 minutes 53 left in this half. So it's Hazard out, lead jammer for the CheckerBroads. Peter Parker getting out of the pack, but that jam was called. One of the things, the reason for the hesitation on our side is you can't see from here, but actually the two tracks are next to each other.
Yes.
And quite often we hear jam ending whistles, and there's always this little beat to check that it's the track we're on, because they are very close to each other. And we're in an official timeout. So the camera, you can see the trophies. This is what we are playing for today.
They're very fancy trophies.
And so this is for the Tier 1 WFTDA side of British Championships. And we talk about that because it's the side that follows WFTDA rules and eligibility.
But you make it sound very fancy.
And you can see we have a fabulous audience with us here at Fenton Manor Sports Complex here in Stoke-on-Trent. This is, I think, the third time British Championships have been held here.
I believe so. That sounds right. I believe you.
Whoever thought that Stoke-on-Trent would be the home of British roller derby? But a big thank you to the British Championships crew who organised this amazing tournament across the whole of the UK. And it takes about 9 months because we start sort of end of January. And I believe it's the largest roller derby tournament in the world.
Is it really?
Yes. So there is one in Australia that has more teams over a 2 or 3 day period.
Yes.
But in terms of number of leagues involved and number of game days, it's the largest tournament in the world.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fun bit of trivia. I enjoyed that. You can just see on your screens, we've obviously got two tracks in the same room, as Doug was explaining. So the other track is the Mild Discomfort and Glasgow game. They've got just over 5 minutes left. Glasgow are on 160 and Mild Discomfort are on 140. So they're having quite a close game over there themselves.
And that is really exciting, because I thought it was going to be a close game. Flat Track Stacks had it almost, literally 51-49.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they said it was going to be super close. And it's proving to be that. So Glasgow with just that edge, and so it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, don't turn away from our channel to the other track.
No, but you can do catch-up later.
And I think that is going to be a great game to watch on catch-up.
Yes.
Although, should we just start commentating that game?
I very nearly did. I'm just a little bit addicted to announcing, and I see skating happening, and I just something clicks in my brain.
I'm just going to have a quick. Just wondering what the next game is, and I've realised I've written that down, but it's because we will be having the next game here at 1:30, and it's going to be New Wheeled Order versus Lincolnshire Rolling Thunder B. So this is going to be the final for a Tier 1 MRDA side.
That should be a close game.
That is going to be a absolute cracker of a game. So that's going to be here at 1:30.
And then on the other track, once the murder game is finished, it will be at 1 p.m. and it will be Dorset
versus Nottingham.
Is it versus Nottingham?
It's versus Nottingham. So that was resolved. That was the first two games this morning.
Yes, because Nottingham played against North Wales this morning, didn't they?
So that was resolving who's going into the Tier 2 WFTDA final.
Yes.
And that is going to be North Wales versus Wiltshire.
Ooh.
So, and that will be here at 3 p.m. And then at 4:30, we've got the the final of the round robin with Liverpool versus London that we've already talked about, that we all really want to see.
Yes.
So, amazing day of roller derby coming up. And the thing is, it's not even going to be long before we start again.
No.
So we're in September now, and leagues are out at the moment for thinking about who wants to be involved in next year.
Yes.
And there's a survey out from British Championships. So if you have a view about how Championships has gone this year for you, as a skater, as a volunteer, as a photographer, as an announcer, please go to the British Championships website and you can go and put in your opinions and give them feedback about how to make this a better tournament. And you can also go there for an absolutely obscene amount of statistics.
Because we all love maths and stats.
I love stats.
I do love a stat, I have to say.
And it's a huge, undertaking to provide the level of statistical information that they do. But it gives us the opportunity when we're sat here to be able to talk about. When you look at the statistics on the British Championships website, you can look at Tier 1 WFTDA North, and you can see the CheckerBroads, for example, of, their blockers, they have 4 of the top 10 blockers.
Wow.
Yeah, so you can look at all the stats and the rankings, and that gives you an idea of just how strong their defense is. But I believe we are about to get underway again, so, thank you for staying with us during this timeout. So we're getting underway. London Roller Derby on 40 points. Manchester CheckerBroads on 114 points. 2 minutes 17 left in this half. I think we're just making sure everybody's in the right position.
Yeah.
I think we're all watching the wonderful Miss Chief, who has guns.
Oh, guns for days.
Guns for days
with Miss Chief.
Yep. So she has the time with the jam whistle, so we'll say we're getting underway, and there we go. So Ali Cat on the jam line up against Roxy Toxin. That is a proper crowded jam line.
It really is, but I like how almost both teams have the back wall.
So interesting to see who's going to come out first, and it's Ali Cat.
But they are not alone. Roxy Toxin. Oh no, I spoke too soon. Roxy Toxin on the way to the penalty box for a cut penalty. So it's a power jam in favour of London. Exactly what they want to see. They've got the control in this jam. They are the only jammer on track. This is exactly what they want to close that points differential.
And at a good time, you want to go into half time with a bit of momentum, and that was, I think, she ruthless with that brilliant offense, and that has got Ali Cat through, scoring points, 4 points now for LRD.
Roxy Toxin is stood in the penalty box, just coming out now. So I believe Roxy Toxin still has the initial pass to complete.
Yes, but Ali Cat is approaching now 4 points.
Now Ali Cat having to fight without the luxury of offence. Spoke too soon, because as soon as Roxy Toxin gets out, their entire team is on it.
Yep, but that's 12 points for Battersea Power in that jam, taking them to 52. Really going to want to see how LRD can capitalise on that, because that is going to make you feel good, bring a bit of confidence.
Absolutely, and that's what you need. You need that motivation, you need that confidence to kind of push you through, and you want to keep that momentum going the second you've got it.
It's Smack Mamba up against Savage.
So Savage kind of taking themselves back, allowing a bit of a run up, but the CheckerBroads shutting down that speed the second the impact was made. Bit of a cluster of skaters there as the jammers both respectively trying to get out, but it is Savage who has managed to break free and get lead.
Smack Mamba was hit out and recycled, but Savage now in the pack. Able to score points, but is hit out and recycled.
Smack Mamba is taking the start off, so they could either be looking for the pass or the stash. They go for the stash.
And Savage sees the danger, calls the jam. But that is 2 points for London at that last jam of the half, taking them to 54. Manchester on 114. So we're in half time. We'll be back in about 14 minutes. I've been Door Mistress.
I've been Stormageddon.
And welcome back to Game 12 of British Championships 2019. And it is London Roller Derby's Battersea Power up against Manchester Roller Derby's CheckerBroads. We have had a really interesting first half. 54 points to London Roller Derby, 114 to Manchester. And we've seen, great work from both teams, but London having a little bit more penalty trouble, and that's meant that Manchester have been able to put on some jams with really high scores.
Absolutely. I mean, what we saw in the first half was quite a slow start, very, very, very close, and then just Manchester picking up the momentum as the first half went on. So obviously Manchester are going to want to keep that going, but as we said at the start of this game, Manchester have considerably less skaters than London do, so we may encounter a kind of stamina issue towards the end of the game. But if Manchester can keep strong throughout, this can seem to be quite an exciting second half. So we've got Savage jamming for London and Smack Mamba up in front jamming for the CheckerBroads. We have got Fatality going in for the offense, but that is a recycle back, so both jammers kind of getting stuck in. But that is Smack Mamba up in front, finding a gap, taking lead.
And that was London doing a really great job of splitting up that Manchester wall. We've seen that throughout this half, that when the blockers get the chance, they won't let Manchester stick together.
No.
And that jam got called just before London could score any points, but it's 3 for Manchester. So that's taking them to 117. Yeah, great piece of offense there by London.
We've got Roxy Toxin on the jam line. And I believe that's Beta Parker.
I think that's the first time we've seen Beta Parker on the jam line for London.
So that's Roxy Toxin taking the lead for Manchester. Beta Parker not far behind her.
Beta Parker really speeding up to close down that gap. Great sort of actual skating speed. And shows the value in that. Roxy Toxin being forced to call off the jam, and Manchester only picking up 1 point, but London picking up 4. So that was really effective jamming from Beta Parker.
Absolutely, and just showing that speed to close down the gap when you're coming out the pack. Really effective.
Yeah, because the other jammer is making an assumption on your speed and where you'll end up. And I think just Beta Parker were able to put on that burst and actually sneak those 4 points.
So we got Alley Cat for London, jamming up against Hazard for the CheckerBroads. Hazard coming up in front, but London recycling back. Meanwhile, Alley Cat hit out on the inside line, taking down CheckerBroads at the back.
Hazard absolutely stationary behind that London wall, but Alley Cat able to go through and pick up lead. So this is London Roller Derby with that lead. Hazard is also out to the pack and brushes off that hit from Amazing Disgrace.
Alley Cat now on for a scoring pass, manages to hop round the inside line. Almost kind of duking into the blockers, doing a bit of a hit, making them feel comfortable and then jumping out the way. Really good strategy.
But that's Battersea picking up 4 points in that jam. And this is a very different start to the second half. London definitely really using half-time to regroup and think about how they're going to try and close that gap down. So they've put on, the majority of points in their second half.
Now, I feel like they've kind of thought about the strategies that Manchester are using and gone, okay, how can we counteract that? They've been really tactical with their half-time. So we've got Daredevil jamming for London, who is right at the back. You can see Smack Mamba there with a shirt whip to pick up some speed from her teammate, takes lead from Manchester. Daredevil losing balance on the inside line, but staying in bounds. But all of the CheckerBroads up in front, and no pack is called.
The Fatality's gone back for some offense, and just manages to create some confusion and let Smack Mamba through. Daredevil also exiting the pack on their initial pass.
Smack Mamba taking the inside line. Bit of a spin round, is calling off a jam.
That's Manchester picking up 4 points, and I think that's the first jam this half where London haven't picked up points. So 125 now playing 62, and we are 4 minutes gone in this half. Just waiting for the start of the next jam.
Okay, so we have Roxy Toxin up in front with a bit of offensive work from Price. That is Savage, who has made it out as lead for London. So the star is off for Roxy Toxin. We don't know if it's going to be a stash or a pass just yet, but using the confusion to hop around the inside line. Savage follows that line through for a very quick scoring pass.
Getting the 4 points, calling that jam. So that's 4 points for Battersea, taking them to 66. I'm really excited about what the rest of this half is going to bring, because London definitely changing things up and actually bringing it, making Manchester, really think about what they'll need to do now.
Oh, absolutely. And again, we've seen it being quite a close game, and I feel like that points differential is absolutely achievable. So London are going to be wanting to close that right up in the second half. We've got Hazard for Manchester is up in front. London staying much more together as a wall than they did do in the first half. We've got Beats Parker up in back, but the CheckerBroads having a bit of penalty trouble, allowing Beats Parker to pick up momentum, but that's a big hit out at the front.
Oh, that was a huge hit by Fatality. And right at the last second. But has eaten up time, which is, what you're trying to do with this.
Meanwhile, Hazard has already taken lead, so that was Hazard's scoring pass. Hazard doing some defensive jamming onto Beats Parker as they come out for the initial pass. There's a bit of a hit on to slow them down. And very tactically there, Hazard watching that penalty box for her teammates to leave the penalty box before calling off the jam and locking in 2 London skaters.
So 4 points for Manchester, taking them to 129. I was just watching the end of that jam and I realised there wasn't, all of the skaters were just separate. I was like, I'm not used to this.
Well, we're just saying how they're all getting a bit more together and then they just choose to ignore me.
Yep, so we're in an official timeout. So thank you for staying with us on this track. The following game is going to be New World Order versus Lincolnshire Rolling Thunder B, and that is going to be the Tier 1 MRDA side final.
Oh,
yep. Who's going to?
Am I right in thinking that's a first and second place placement?
There's a cup.
Ooh.
There's a cup. There's medals.
And that's the only reason we do all of this.
Well, if you saw the Tiger Bay documentary Hell on Wheels.
I haven't yet.
Well, sadly it's off iPlayer at the moment. But basically it was, do you want a medal? Was how the team were motivated.
I love that.
So Alley Cat on the jam line up against Smack Mamba for Manchester.
Smack Mamba taking lead from Manchester. Alley Cat with a spin round on the inside line, ignoring the hits from the CheckerBroads to get out. Manchester very defensively, just calling it straight off. Don't want to take any risks there. London have already proved themselves for it doesn't matter if they get lead, they can still get some points.
So we're in Jam 7 in this period, and I can't remember a multiple scoring pass. Maybe one out of 7 jams.
I was about to say, I think there was maybe 1 or 2, but not many.
Not many in 7 jams, and we are in a timeout which has been called by London. So, so it's been very low scoring in the second half, but London, closing that gap down, so it is now just 63 points between the two teams. It's actually an official review.
It is an official review.
Yeah, so, and it is an official review. There is a question. So, it's been a very different second half to the first half.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's still early days for our second half, and we definitely saw a big progression in the first half with gameplay styles. As we were saying, it kind of started off slow, it started off very close, and then everything kind of picked up. So there is still chance for that to do that in the second half, but obviously we don't know in what direction that momentum's going to go.
Yeah. And just a reminder, if you're just tuning into this game, that the Tier 1 WFTDA side in British Championships has been decided by a round robin. So it's London, Manchester and Liverpool who are all competing over this 2 days. Manchester played Liverpool yesterday and Liverpool won. London and Manchester playing now, and London and Liverpool are going to play later. So if Manchester win, that's going to mean that it can only be... it will come down to the game London versus Liverpool on points differential, unless Liverpool win there. So it's all going to get a bit maths.
It's all going to get a bit complicated and statsy. But
if London Roller Derby win, then Manchester will not be in the chance for winning. But then it's down to Liverpool and London for the first, second place.
Yes.
So it's still a bit maths, but that's what always happens in these round robins, and they always throw up unexpected results. So we'll wait to see how this game ends, because I don't think this game is done.
No, absolutely not. And I don't feel like I wouldn't feel confident right now predicting how it's going to end.
Yeah, because we have all seen London roller derbies. London Brawling and Brawl Saints come back with amazing comebacks at times. And, you've got to remember this is London Roller Derby.
Yes.
And they will sort of have that spirit, but also those tactics and strategies and how to cope in these situations. So, yes, this game is not over.
They also have experience in their coaches as well. Like, they've got that support network behind them when you've got coaches like from the Brawl Saints, basically.
Yeah. Yep. So we're just waiting to see when, because we're hoping that the microphone issue has been resolved. So we'll hope to hear from the head referee now.
There's been feedback to benches, so we should be getting back underway shortly. We'll just wait and see if there's anything from the head ref.
Well, I haven't seen any changes made to the penalty box.
Okay.
Which you would expect to see in an official review.
Yes.
No, we still don't have any word from the head referee, who is busy talking to the officials to make sure everything is tracked, but the teams are lining up. We're just seeing the head referee go over to London and have a chat with the bench coach. So we're waiting to see what the impact of that official review is.
I think there was a bit more chat between the officials, so there might have been further discussion required.
It kind of feels like a detective game.
Yeah, it is a bit. You've got to try and figure out what they might be discussing. I don't think I've ever been that good a detective, though, if I'm brutally honest.
No, it doesn't look as though there's been any changes to the penalty box, but somebody... yes, a number is being drawn. It is number 212, Beastie Noise, and is going to the penalty box.
Going for a sit down.
Yep, and so that is a penalty that has been assessed to London Roller Derby. So that was, we suspect, the reason for the official review, and that is a change in how things are set up. So we're going to get underway again. So 66 to London Roller Derby and 129 to Manchester CheckerBroads.
So we have got Roxy Toxin up in front just 2 London blockers up against, got a weave around the pivot, and she does. That is lead picked up for Manchester. Savage is the jammer for London, now getting the opportunity for a fence from their teammates. Roxy Toxin now coming in for a scoring pass, but is hit out. So Savage managed to get out for the initial pass, and Roxy Toxin calling it off, playing a safe game, but has picked up 4 points.
I think that's the game Manchester are playing right now, is where they can put on the points just to do it, but not to take risks. Because they have got, a lead at the moment. So we'll be looking to maintain that, but not going to try anything, risky at this stage, because it's, as we said, this game is not over.
So we got Beta Parker for London and Hazard for the CheckerBroads. Both jammers kind of neck on neck in the pack, but Hazard making a bit of headway, but knocked off balance at the back. Just finding the gap on the inside line to take lead, and then a beautiful offence to clear the inside line for Beta Parker. But then again, it's slowed again right down by Cara Chase, allowing the CheckerBroads to recycle back in front of them.
But London now with 2 blockers in the penalty box, which we did see a number of times in the first half. That means they're going to start with just 2 blockers on track. And that has given Manchester opportunities to put on large scoring passes. Not this time, 4 points for Manchester in that last jam. But, this has now put 2 London blockers on 4 penalties each. And we have
another official review.
So let's talk a bit about penalties. So we've got She Ruthless on 4, and we've got Serious Whack also sitting on 4. Again, not danger period, because we've got 20 minutes left of the game, but that's something we're going to have to keep an eye on. The challenge has been when London have 2 blockers in the box.
Yes.
Because it just makes it too easy for those Manchester jammers to get through.
And again, I think Manchester with a really tactical call-off, because even though the initial pass wasn't done for London, again, they've done it in the first half. They're seeing the 2 skaters in the box, and they're going, that's a advantage for getting lead in the next jam. So let's play the long game. Let's get lead again. And they're calling it off, even though they're in a strong position during that jam.
So Manchester have only got 10 penalties between the entire team, whereas London have got 3 blockers on 3 and 2 blockers on 4. And that, I think, just shows the story that, you can't do it.
No.
You just can't do it when the other team is playing so clean.
Yes.
You can't just give away that sort of track time. So also, just to let you know, about to start on the other stream, it is the Tier 2 WFTDA 3rd/4th playoff. It is Dorset versus Nottingham. That is getting underway in 45 seconds on track 1.
I mean, don't switch, just watch it later.
We're just giving you the options.
Yeah.
Other games are available.
Well, that's very lovely and impartial of you, but I'm going to say, no, stay here.
I've been loving this game from a strategy point of view.
Absolutely. I feel like this is like tactics 101 throughout this game. And
definitely a game I would want to take back to a team if I was a coach and actually pull apart.
Yeah,
and talk about what the 2 different teams are doing and how you might want to take that into your own league's sort of training and play.
Absolutely, and especially the ability to adapt gameplay. So we had the slow start while they were both trying to figure out how the other plays, and then when we see in the progression is you saw especially the blockers adapting their styles to go, what is going to catch this jammer?
Yeah. And actually what's been really interesting is that, we've seen some big hits, but actually it's not been about hits. It's about positioning, positional blocking. It's about being in the right place. And it's about, it's offense. Offense has been absolutely key to this.
Yes. Well, this is it. When we're left with a jammer all on their own, it has been a fight to get through. Whereas when there's effective offense, And this is again why the penalties are so important, is if you've got 2 blockers in the penalty box, you don't have the numbers to do an offence. Whereas when you've got a whole team there, it's simple, really.
And some of the games we've seen over this weekend, it's all been about defence. It's been incredibly strong walling. But it's just that ability that both teams have exhibited to just break up the other team's blockers and not let them be near each other.
Yes.
It's been really noticeable that's been very effective, as well as, very synchronised, pile-in offence, just as your jammer approaches. So we've seen all sorts of fun stuff that I want to go away and sort of re-watch and get a bit nerdy about.
I think I will be joining you on nerding out personally. So hopefully hearing from our head ref. Still.
So the head ref is giving the official review result. We weren't able to hear that, so we can't update you, but it looks as though, I'm just looking at the scoreboard to see whether the official review has been maintained, and it's still blinking at me.
And keep an eye on that in the next jam and see if that's been retained or lost.
No, it's been lost.
Okay.
So nothing changed.
Nothing ventured, nothing gained. We have Smack Mamba up in front, as we were saying, with just 2 London blockers. So one of them having to go back to bridge the gap to make sure they both stay in place. Smack Mamba getting lead. Ali Cat, meanwhile, doing that one-person fight against 4 blockers. Hit out on the outside line, and that was by Rebel Scum.
That was a lovely block from Rebel Scum. But Ali Cat able to exit the pack on their initial.
Meanwhile, Smack Mamba being taken miles back there and forcing a call off. That was with serious whack.
That was a big recycle. But it was Manchester picking up 3 points in that jam, taking them to 140 points, 66 to London Roller Derby. We have less than 20 minutes left in this game. Oofed. Sometimes that's all I've got.
So we've got Daredevil really making some progress up in front, picking up speed and taking lead on toe stops on the outside line. Meanwhile, is Roxy Toxin for Manchester. Bit of a fence from their pivot, managing to hop round the inside line. Daredevil on a scoring pass, just 1 blocker to face. Does so successfully, so that's the points on the board and going for the call-off.
I think Manchester weren't quite able to keep up with London's jammer to hold them back on that second pass. And you could just see them racing forward, and it was just not quite quick enough. So that was 4 points for London Roller Derby, taking them to 70. So it's a 70-point game. I can do 140 minus 70.
Yes. Again, both teams seeming to take the back line as we go into the next jam. Basher Fierce pushing the CheckerBroads up in front, but Hazard really picking up speed on that inside line, takes lead. Basher Fierce taking the outside, bit of slowing down from Price, but just bashes through, living up to their name. Both teams now on a scoring pass as Hazard approaches the pack. On the outside line, hit out, waiting to call off. But appears the bench doesn't want her to do so, so let's just carry on.
Yeah. So Basher Fierce pushing out up front, is pushing blockers out of play. Oh, but is hit out at the last second and recycled. And this is I think the most static we've seen the pack for some time, stuck up on turn 4. And that's just, traditional sort of 3-wall defense being used. Fatality going in with a lovely piece of offense from the CheckerBroads.
Yeah, Fatality has really been proving herself as a really hard-hitting blocker throughout this game.
But also very clever tactically. So not just hitting people, hitting them at the right time and hitting the right people.
Yes, absolutely. So that's Basher Fierce bashing through the inside line. So both jammers getting out, both jammers getting some points.
Just waiting to see if just check on the number of scoring passes. I think it was 1 each, so that's 4 points each. So we're still a 70-point game. And I think, again, you saw in that jam that the London Jammer was able to outpace the Manchester pack.
Yes.
And, that's the thing that they're really succeeding at the moment is if they're able to get that gap in the pack, they're quicker and Manchester can't reform in front of them. And look.
And proving that point once again, London getting the lead, and that is savage. So Smack Mamba going for a sit down in the penalty box. So it's a power jam in favour of London now. So,
and that's something we haven't seen a lot of.
No.
So Smack Mamba, that is Smack Mamba's first penalty. It was a cut penalty.
So Savage up in front now, managing to get round on the inside line. CheckerBroads not managing to chase because they were out of bounds.
And here comes the offence from London Battersea Power. And actually they've decided to get and keep a goat.
And Smack Mamba out of the penalty box, used the full lap for a run-up, and no one saw her coming.
Very tactical use of the helmet cover. So didn't put the helmet cover when it came back on track. On their initial pass, it doesn't matter if the star is visible or not, because you're not scoring points. And enabled Smack Mamba to just sneak by before the pack was ready. So that was great tactics. But 7 points for London Roller Derby in that last jam, taking them to 81. So that is a 63-point game.
Yeah.
So closing this gap down. We saw this at the start of the second half, that something changes in London, and they sort of try something new and it's working.
So we've got Roxy Toxin and Beta Parker up to jam. Roxy Toxin, one blocker to face, manages to weave around the pivot, but Beta Parker really closing that gap and overtaking Roxy Toxin on that third turn. So we've seen it before with Beta Parker, just that intense acceleration when they're out the park that just forces the call off, denies any points from being picked up, and when you're not lead, I think that's your only job, really.
Yeah, absolutely. The speed of the London Jammers is changing. Means that they can play in a way that Manchester need to sort of adjust to, and they did there because Roxy called off the jam at the right time.
So that's Alley Cat and Hazard out to jam. Hazard is up in front, gets round on the outside line. So that's lead for Manchester. Alley Cat being recycled back, but a beautiful offence to clear that outside line. But I think that was a bit of confusion there as Hazard came round for a scoring pass. London was still very broken up from the offensive manoeuvre, just allowed Hazard to just skate on through.
And that was 4 points for Manchester, taking them to 148. And we've seen this in this game, that it's been so back and forth that London will get a couple of jams and Manchester will get a couple of jams.
Yes.
And, although the score doesn't show that, especially in the second half, no one team has had the real momentum.
No. I feel like every time momentum's kind of started, the other teams managed to shut it down.
And that's Manchester CheckerBroads calling for a team timeout. So just a chance to update you on the third, fourth Tier 2 WFTDA playoff. It is 14 to Dorset and it's 11 to Nottingham, and they're 5 minutes into that game. See, we can cover both games.
This is why you don't need to switch over. You've got it all.
All we need now is the scores from Thin Air Throwdown up in Denver.
Oh, yes.
And we could cover the whole of Roller Derby for you.
Yeah, we'll just...
Yeah. And a big shout out to our announcer team over there. I have some friends who are announcing this weekend. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, so I wish, a little part of me wishes I was in Denver.
But who needs to be in Denver when you got Stoke?
Denver or Stoke. Denver or Stoke. And I don't know if you heard that over our mics, but the track, there's been a lead change.
Yeah, so that takes it from 14 to Dorset to 23 to Nottingham over on the other track.
But we're ready to get underway on this track. So it's 81 to London, it's 148 to Manchester, 13 minutes 26 left in this game.
So all skaters very close in front, but Smack Mamba picking up momentum up in front, slowed down by that last blocker, but has gotten lead as they push them out of play. That was Tropic Attack with the defense at the front. Daredevil, meanwhile, just gotten out the initial pass as Smack Mamba hits for the scoring pass. Bit of a takedown as blockers as the call-off happens.
Just wait and see what that did for the scores. It's looking as though no team... it's Manchester who picked up 2 points in that jam, taking them to 150. Apologies. So ready to get underway on this next jam. It is Roxy Toxin up against Savage.
Savage, very quick work of taking lead there, sprinting around that track. Roxy Toxin also out for the initial, so the pack speeding up to try and kind of keep the jammers away as they approach. Savage shouting demands at their teammate. Roxy Toxin also approaching for some points, but Savage taken down on the inside line, calling off a jam, but not before Manchester picked up, I believe that's 3 points.
So that was excellent work from Roxy Toxin, sneaking 3 points in at the end of that jam, and London picking up nothing. It's showing 4 on our scoreboard, not 3. So 11 and a half minutes left in this game.
So that is Hazard jamming up against Alley Cat. Hazard literally jumping over blockers to get through. It proves effective and takes lead. Alley Cat really picking up the speed now as they weave round the checkerboard blockers. So both jammers now on a scoring pass as Hazard approaches. Tries to weave around on the inside line, but is knocked out of bounds and calls off the jam.
And it's 2 points for Manchester and nothing for London. So I think that's the second jam in a row where London have had lead, but Manchester are the ones who've come away with the points. And I think that just shows that, and I think that's because the defence in the pack is so strong.
Yes.
That basically London have the lead, they're in the pack, they see the danger, but then they get hit off, and it just gives Manchester that chance to skate by for a point or two.
So we got Beta Parker, big hit down on the inside line from Fatality. You can see Smack Mamba making some progress, pushing that free wall forward, kind of gets shoulders down and gets stuck in. So both jammers just trying to push the walls forward respectively. London really keeping together as the blockers, but Smack Mamba managing to get through on the inside. But I believe that's with a forearm. Oh no, it was forearms for another skater. My apologies. So Manchester have taken lead. But again, Beta Parker managing to do the overtake on the initial lap and forcing the call off before any points are scored.
Yep, and it was a forearms penalty for one of the London blockers. So Manchester will be starting with the pack advantage on this jam. And it was great textbook defence from both teams in that jam. Again, yeah, I think this really is a jam, a game to go back and study.
Yes.
If you're looking at tactics and strategy. So we're in an official timeout.
Well, I kind of feel like, I think everyone kind of started off with the zonal blocking. Everyone started off with the new fancy stuff. And at the end of the day, both teams have kind of taken a step back and almost gone back to retro derby and gone, let's just stick together, slow things down, and you can't argue with the basics.
No. I think actually it's the speed of the jammers that are causing that.
Yes.
Because the jammers are so quick that the blockers aren't able to do the fancy new stuff around them. They're having to go back to tripods and three walls. because the jammers are so quick. The acceleration that we can see from the jammers is phenomenal. And so it's forcing teams to change their tactics. Quick note on the penalties. This is now, She Ruthless is now sitting on 5. That's what I think that last thing was around.
Yeah, so after the official timeout, there's now an extra London blocker in the box. So they're starting with just 2 blockers. But despite that, Daredevil has taken lead. Roxy Toxin is out for the initial pass.
Manchester trying to speed the pack up. London going with some offense. They want all 4 points.
Yeah, so a beautiful sweep on the outside line there to get Daredevil through as Roxy Toxin is approaching for a scoring pass.
And that's great work from Manchester, just slowing Daredevil enough to allow Roxy Toxin to complete for 4. Just great tactical awareness from the Manchester pack.
Daredevil now on for another scoring pass, hit out on the outside line and calling off the jam from the floor.
But picked up an extra point, so London do take the jam 5-4, which is putting London Roller Derby on 86 points. Manchester CheckerBroads on 160, and we have just over 8 minutes left in this game. So it is Hazard on the jam line up against Savage.
So Savage trying to take that inside line, but it is shut down. Hazard pushing the wall forward to pick up some speed and takes lead for Manchester. Savage now on the outside line, forcing that gap to get through the initial pass. Hazard goes through the pack sideways and calls off the jam.
But with a big smile on their face.
Yeah.
And everyone around them. So it's Manchester picking up 1 point in that jam. It's now worth, so London really starting to move into penalty trouble now. So we have two players now on 5 penalties, 2 blockers. They've got another 2 players sitting on 4 and another 2 players sitting on 3. And we are in a team timeout. So it's just the fact that there's been multiple blockers in the box.
Yes.
You know, in that last jam, as you said, it didn't hold them back from getting lead, but it does make it more difficult to complete scoring passes if you only have 2 people who can do offense for you. And I think, you know, this is why, although London have been, you know, definitely in the second half, much more, you know, keeping up with Manchester, the score differential has continued to widen. Because Manchester can put on 4 or 8 or 6 or 12 points because you've only got 2 blocks on track.
Well, this is it. At the end of the day, Manchester, much smaller roster, but a much cleaner game. They haven't got a single skater who's done more than 2 penalties throughout the entire game. Whereas, as we say, London, couple on 5, couple on 4, and that's just enough to consistently mean that they're going to have the disadvantage on track.
Yep. And I think, you know, if they go back and look at this game, that's probably the one thing they're going to want to take away and really work on is that penalty differential. So we're about to get underway again. So it's 86 for Battersea. It's 161 for the CheckerBroads. 7 minutes 16 left in this game.
So again, the pack's staying very close with a mix of skaters, but Smack Mamba pushing the London blockers forward. Alley Cat trapped at the back trying to weave round, but Smack Mamba has taken lead for the CheckerBroads. Alley Cat with a weave round, it just stays in bounds on toe stops on the outside line, gets out the initial pass, forcing the call off.
And just the core strength it requires from Alley Cat to keep in bounds and upright after that hit was phenomenal. That's goals.
Yes, I agree. I'll be working on that when I get home.
4 points for the CheckerBroads.
So London with 1 blocker in the box. So again, Manchester with the pack advantage. Daredevil jamming for London. Roxy Toxin for Manchester. Roxy Toxin on the outside line takes the lead.
Roxy Toxin showing why you need to practice your side surf.
Yes, that was a beautiful side surf. Daredevil pushing forward on the inside line. There wasn't a gap there, but they're going to make one. Roxy Toxin using her teammates as kind of a friendly little route to get through the pack. Proves successful for picking up the 4 points.
And again, it's we don't need to hit, it's a positional block.
Yes.
Just being in the right place at the right time, either to stop somebody getting in your way or to be there to whip off. London now with a third blocker on 5 penalties, but we are starting with an empty penalty box. It's Hazard versus Alley Cat. Sorry, Beta Parker. There's me making assumptions on words I can't read properly.
So that's Hazard, who has sprinted up in front. Beta Parker having a bit of trouble getting past those last couple of blockers. So London have come in for the offence to try and see them through. But Hazard is now on for a scoring pass. So they've had to go back to defence to try and slow that jammer down. Beta Parker now on for initial pass. Hazard has kind of stopped what she's doing to assess where Beta Parker is and call it off.
I think if I was facing a wall like that, I would have probably done the same. But it's Manchester picking up 3 points for the CheckerBroads, taking them to 172. 86 points for Battersea Power. We've got 4.5 minutes left in this game. And, you know, it looks at this stage that Manchester are going to, you know, we're going to be in that situation where we talked about. So the next game, London versus Liverpool. If Liverpool win, they win. But if London win, it's going to all come down to maths and points.
Yeah, and it's going to come down to who's scored the most points and denied points from the other team the most over the weekend.
Yep. So we have Savage up against Smack Mamba. Smack Mamba is lead and has completed first scoring pass. Savage is approaching the pack for points. Manchester speeding up. But some tactical takeout, and only 2 Manchester blockers on track has seen Savage complete for 4, while Smack Mamba is taken to the floor. And a massive hit from Fatality, who picks up a penalty for that. And it's now Manchester who are the ones who are having the penalty trouble and the pack disadvantage. But Smack Mamba coming round for third scoring pass, as is Savage. So Manchester deciding to play this long, and it's not so far working in their advantage. Oh, and that was great work from Savage on the inside line, just pushing the single blocker out of the way. Manchester not braced enough to cope with Savage's physicality.
Absolutely. Savage now just one-on-one against the pivot and proves successful for another 4-point pass.
So bearing in mind Manchester was lead, they pick up 8 points in that jam, but London picked up 16.
Wow.
I think that's the highest scoring jam we've seen this game.
I can't remember one higher, if I'm absolutely honest, so London should be very happy with that.
Yep, so that was 12 points for Manchester, actually, so that's probably the highest scoring jam overall in the game. I mean,
yes.
Bearing in mind with 2 minutes left, we've only got 300 points on the board. That is a really tight game.
Yeah.
So we're in an official timeout. So yeah, it was Manchester chose to run that long, and that's probably the first time we've seen that this game. But London picking up benefit, but they are now with 4 blockers on 5 penalties.
Yes.
I mean, with 2 minutes to go, that's not a big deal in terms of risk of foul out, but it has just consistently led to Manchester being able to put on more points. We've talked about it a number of times in this game. You've got to have your blockers on track to stop the other team's jammer.
Absolutely. I mean, we haven't got much time left of this game. I think maybe Manchester were feeling in a position where they're maybe getting a bit more comfortable because they have got the advantage in terms of points. They are ahead by a fair bit at this stage of the game. So now they're going maybe in the position of thinking, well, we can take a risk. And if it doesn't quite go our way, you know what, we're still ahead.
And also they're probably thinking about the fact it might come down to points differential.
Exactly. And now if they've changed that mindset to go, if it is down to points differential, every point matters. We need to just get things on the board. Then you're probably going to be more inclined to take a risk.
So we're about to get underway again. 2 minutes 26 left in this game. 102 playing 184. And we have on the jam line, it is Roxy Toxin up against Basher Fierce.
Two very different jammer styles up against each other. Basher Fierce again living up to their name, but it's Roxy Toxin with a Duke round to take the lead. Basher Fierce now with a bit of offense, trying to take the CheckerBroads one-on-one, but they get back together to create that free wall. Roxy Toxin now on for a scoring pass hit out on the outside and then the inside. Basher Fierce big hit out to see the recycle back.
And takes their time to come back, which is not what you're looking for. You know, you need to get back on track as soon as possible.
Yeah, every second matters at this stage.
But then Roxy Toxin also taking time to, so I think it's getting your breath back as well a bit. They were big hits. Basher Fierce pushing out up front, has just the 1-2 CheckerBroads ahead and pushes them out of play.
Roxy Toxin now also out the pack with a few points. Sees Basher Fierce up in head and calls it off.
Yeah, Manchester picking up 4 points in that jam, taking them to 188. So, and we have 1 minute 9 seconds left on the clock.
So that is Hazard on the jam line, and up against them is Daredevil. So Daredevil kind of bouncing off the blockers, going round, trying to take that outside line. Hazard with a bit of a hop round on the inside, finds that gap, takes the lead. Daredevil now with a weave round, and that is the initial pass completed. Beautiful apex jump from Hazard. They did land it, but just lost a footing, and that is one of the London blockers going off for forearms.
That was She Ruthless for that spill to the floor with her forearms. So that is 8 seconds left on the clock, but a timeout has been called by Manchester, who I imagine are all about the points at this stage. They want to make sure they've got the best chance going into that final game of coming home with the cup.
Especially as it's not them playing the final game, so they don't really get a say beyond this last jam, really. So they're going to be wanting to take advantage as much as they can, do what's in their power.
Yep. And if that means an extra jam, I'm at, because they actually have they have one timeout left, and so I bet they were just wishing they could have had 3. So it's 104 points to London Roller Derby. It's 192 for Manchester going into what must be the last jam of this game.
Well, with 5 seconds left on the period clock, it would be impressive if it wasn't.
But I've learned a long time in announcing, never assume.
Let's not.
Yeah. So Savage on the jam line up against Smack Mamba.
Smack Mamba pushing the free wall up ahead. The CheckerBroads wall staying strong at the front, but again, London are not letting Smack Mamba pick up much momentum, keeping that speed to a standstill up in front. Savage now getting some momentum, pushing forward, finding that gap. That is lead picked up for London, but Smack Mamba also out of the pack.
Yeah, so Manchester not getting the lead they were looking for, but are going to determined to make sure that London can't take advantage of it either. Smack Mamba and that speed chasing down Savage, but London did a fantastic job of picking that 1 point off so that they could just get that 1 point. But Manchester managed to skate through in time to pick up 4.
Wow, that's really impressive.
And again, it's been the speed of the jammers.
Yes.
Has really made a difference in these moments.
Yeah, consistently all game. That's what the difference has been.
So, the unofficial final scores: 105 to London Roller Derby Battersea Power, 196 to Manchester's CheckerBroads. So this means in the round robin, Liverpool have a win, Manchester have a win, and the next game is London versus Liverpool, and that will decide how things go. If Liverpool win, they win, and Manchester come second, and London will come third. If London win, it's all points.
It's all on points differentials.
But this has been a fantastic game to watch for strategy and tactics. I learned a lot.
Yeah, I feel like I did too. It was like being back at class.
So the next game is it was due to start now, but this game is overrun a bit. So as soon as possible, we will be back on track for New Wheeled Order versus Lincolnshire Roller Derby, Rolling Thunder, 3B, and that is going to be the Tier 1 MRDA final.
Oh, that's going to be exciting.
There's medals, there's cups on the line, and that will be back here as soon as possible, probably in the next 15 to 20 minutes. I've been Dork Mistress.
I've been Stormageddon.